I will go ahead and get started here if everyone wants to take a seat.
Oh, there we go.
We'll go ahead and officially call this meeting to order. Has the meeting been properly posted and the roll been taken? Yes. Thank you. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes from December 7th. Anyone care to make a motion at this time?
So moved.
Okay, there's a
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 3 is communications. I don't believe we have any communications at this time. With that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is the public hearing to review and possible recommendation, Fairwind Ltd., Brian Pollard. We'll go ahead under 4.1, the public hearing on a request to consider a proposed step 4, precise implementation plan for a portion of the property located at 2400 East Geneva Street in the Manufacturing Light ML zoning district to allow for residential development of single-family and duplex homes in the areas around Lake Lawn Resort Marina and additional piers within the marina. Applicant, again, Fairwind Ltd., Brian Pollard. With that, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And who wants to kick things off for us?
I'll start. Brian Pollard with Fairwind. So we were here last February when we got our GDP approval on this project. You will see when we present the PIP that it is very much like the GDP. Same basic layout, same unit count, same almost everything. So obviously when COVID hit, we kind of slowed things up, but now we're back at it. We'd like to get this project going this summer. So Rick Zirk from our company will come and do a presentation for you. And if you have any questions, Rick or I or the guys from Lake Lawn should be able to answer. Thank you.
Great.
You'd like to have us do the whole presentation now, then open it for public comment?
Sure, I think
Okay.
that's appropriate.
As Brian said, my name is Rick Zirk, it's Z-I-R-K. I'm here on behalf of Fairwind Limited. We do have folks from Lake Lawn with us tonight, and I believe Aaron Cook, our engineer, is on the line as well to answer some technical questions if they happen. As Brian touched on, Fairwind is the contract purchaser, will be the developer of the Lake Lawn Lodge, the Harbor Club of Lake Lawn portion of the project once it gets underway. And what we're here this evening asking for is the approval of precise implementation plan for lots 2 and 4 of the CSM and acknowledgement and concurrence with our pier configuration plan. We have 35.8 acres of the 194-acre Lake Lawn Lodge project in lots 2 and 4. And we'll try this slide presentation here and now it doesn't seem to be working, Andy. Okay, go ahead and hit it. Oh, simple. Let me see if it works now. Okay. The first slide, just an aerial showing the entire 194-acre Lake Lawn Lodge parcel. Confident everybody knows where that is, but that again is the area that was subject to the approved GDP for which this PIP is a portion. The next slide is shows the zoning map, which shows the underlying zoning, which was referenced in my light manufacturing with the PID overlay. The red line indicates within the 194-acre Lake Lawn property where the area we're going to concentrate this evening is the red area. Slide 4, which is the 5-lot CSM subdivision of the property, identifies those individual lots. And again, what we're concentrating is lot 4, lot 2, and the pier area. This also lays out 5 separate lots as well as 3 outlots that will be used for future right-of-way dedication to the Department of Transportation. This is the one cover sheet. There's 11 total sheets of the CSM, all of which are in your packet, that provide a lot more detail on each of the each of the phases. I wasn't gonna go into a lot of detail on each of those, but if you have any questions, always feel free to stop me. Next slide shows in better detail the land separations. Lot 2 being our villa area, which has 40 villa, which is essentially a duplex project, 40 units there. Lot 3 is the marina shared use parcel, which we'll be coming back with individual PIP on that soon. That will be essentially a clubhouse gathering place for our community, so residents of our community will be able to go there, gather there, hang out. And we're also working with Lake Lawn because it's an amenity that may serve some of their purposes. So it's most likely going to be a shared facility where guests of Lake Lawn, members of their boat club, as well as members of our neighborhood, all will share that facility. So that's being worked on right now, but that should be the next PIP you see because we want that finite in place prior to our starting to sell units. We'll need to be able to convey to folks what we're doing. As this is a little easier to see the outlot for the future dedication of Route 50. There's also on the very left side, you'll see sort of pentagon-shaped parcel, which is an easement we're creating for Delavan Lake Sanitary District for the lift station that's on the Lake Lawn property right now. That's the other yellow box just to the right of that, to the east of that, outlines the property where the lift station was supposed to be. So the lift station was supposed to be on the block, but it got built off the property they own. So during this process, we're going to provide easements. They're going to release that property. We're going to clean that up for everybody as part of this process. The next slide I have kind of better shows the pier configuration. This configuration, the plans, everything have been approved with the DNR. Everything's settled. We've got all the approvals in place that we need for the pier configuration. We did want to bring this back, although I didn't really see a pier ordinance that had to be addressed, but we want to make sure everybody's comfortable with what we're proposing. And again, all the 96 additional piers are located within the lagoon. This also includes, you can see to the right, which is part of the previous PIP, I believe, the relocation of the boat launch to a different part of the lagoon. But right now, all the piers are shown in the lagoon, and what we're talking about this evening is the 96 new piers that were approved as part of the February approval process. Slide 7, or our next slide, and not much you're going to get out of that one. It's a little busy there on the map, but it's our preliminary plat, and not much I can say about that other than we have one. So the details more readily, you can see that a lot easier on the paper copy we gave you, but that is the official plat that we're asking for approval. A little easier to see what we're doing here on the master utility plan. The entire site will be served by an extended looped water main from the city sewer water system. So all the homes will be on City of Delavan water. One of the things that's been talked about back in February and talked about again now is to the west side of the property, there's a large swale that comes through underneath the road. That swale contains bypass water from storm releases north of Route 50. In our engineering plan, we have a defined swale so that that bypass water from properties outside of ours continues to bypass, does not intermingle with our storm sewer system or with our storm management system. And our stormwater management internally, as you can see from all the storm lines going into those individual ponds, is focused on filtration and recharge. Hopefully that the plan will be that our water will create additional groundwater recharge, and it will filter the water so that the water getting to the lake is much clearer. Aaron's here if anybody has specific questions on that. I'm going to have to defer to him because I've exceeded my talent level on that already, and there are about 80 pages of calculations and pictures that were provided in the packet that address the management plan that he has. The next item we have on here is to discuss is the road network within the subdivision will be private. It will be owned, maintained, and repaired and everything by the homeowners association. No parts of the system other than whatever's required by the state at the access point. The top will be within dedicated right-of-way. And that's the access point at F, and 50 will be our focal point. Again, situated so that it's configured such that somebody entering the project won't run into, be looking at buildings or looking at the sides of buildings, but the main focus on this entire view shed is going to be the boats and the marina and facility we have there. It's designed intentionally to augment that views of the lake. The sewer system we have is a private collector system. The single-family homes to the west will be collected in a private collector system, and as proposed, will discharge into the Delavan Lake Sanitary District. So from that point on, the collection from the lift station and treatment will be done by municipal and private or governmental agencies, not a private system. But the collection will be private, and on the villa side, not only will the collection be private, but since that's a little lower, there's a small community lift station in that area, which if you look at the plan, you'll see there's a force main that pushes up between lots 1 and 2. So the villa area will discharge back into the single family area, and then by gravity make its way to the lift station. So at the end of the day, everything gets to the lift station and is then on a public system. One issue we ran into there was the next slide I think probably explains it a little better. We had a bit of a challenge at the beginning with capacity of the lift station, primarily to the force main on the south side of Route 50 being at or above capacity, which created a lot of back pressure. We worked with Doug and the folks at Delavan Lake Sanitary District, and I think it was actually Doug's idea, would be to disconnect from that force main on the south side of the street, run a new force main pipe to the north side of the street, connect into a different force main, which has a lot less back pressure, which will allow our pumps, or their pumps at the Delavan Lake Sanitary District to run at a higher discharge rate, and thereby making capacity for our project. So that relocation of the storms or the sanitary force main is again part of our project. Next slide kind of gives you a visual look of what's proposed for Route 50, additional lanes, bike path, excuse me. I just want to pop that up a little bit so everybody can see the extent of work that ultimately be going on in Route 50. I do know in the conditions there was talk about having the Route 50 improvements completed prior to our occupancy. We've been working with the Department of Transportation. We're very close to having everybody's online, but as I was discussing with Mark, I'm not at all confident we're going to get all the approvals and everybody online prior to some of our first occupancies. So we want to work with the Department of Transportation to put a plan together that lets us build homes, get people in partially with the temporary access or whatever it takes at the beginning. With everybody working home, the COVID stuff, it's not exactly been the fastest project getting everything through, but I saw the note on there as condition number 5, and I just want to look everybody in the eye and say, we certainly want to get this done, but I'm also not entirely confident that with everything that we're dealing with, they're going to have it all in place prior to the first occupancy. The next item there was some questions on turning radiuses in the cul-de-sacs. The engineers have run a turning analysis on all the cul-de-sacs. This is an example. All of them work with the largest vehicles, utilizing the intersections. There's again one example. There's an example of each cul-de-sac in the entire community within your packet. The next part I want to talk about is kind of getting away from the nuts and bolts and more the pretty stuff. This is an example of an entrance feature that we have proposed in the middle of the entrance. This is the Symphony Bay and Lake Geneva entrance monument we used. It's a nautical theme. It's designed to fit in with the character of what we're trying to do. And this one, the little lighthouse, the light lights up at night just to draw attention to it. But it is a model of something we'd like to use. Something quite much like this on the entrance of the subdivision. And the site for that monument is actually depicted on the landscape plans. Next thing I have here is our overall landscape plan. And as we talked about back in February, the goal of this is to create a resort lifestyle community where folks are coming, spending the weekends, spending their time, and feeling part of the community, part of the overall resort lifestyle. And you'll see all the hashed areas are prairie type growths. It's a very naturalized area. We're trying to reestablish prairie lands. We have pathways that cut through there. And again, if you see from this, the visual engagement point coming in from Route 50 will be the marina and the boat facilities in lagoon. Again, this whole subdivision is really built around the opportunity for boating and the resort lifestyle, not as much a traditional neighborhood. One of the things a little easier to see in here, I was going to talk about it at some point, but it actually looks a little easier. One of the things that staff has been adamant about is providing public access for the community to the lake that does not otherwise exist right now. That's something we've worked on very diligently. And you can see from Route 50 on the left side of the main entrance, there's a pathway that comes in, follows the road around, and comes out at the boat launch at the bottom. So residents of Delavan will be able to, through the bike trail, be able to access the lakefront and the opportunities. In our development agreement, there's going to be some restrictions on what people can do. It's still a business. They have to run their facility, but the idea is to provide residents of Delavan the opportunity to use the lake to a higher degree than they're able to now. Also, it's a little bit hard to see on here, but you'll see there's additional plantings and augmentation of the berming along Route 50. Our plan is to try to create as much visual barrier between Route 50 and the backs of the homes that are on the north side of the project to provide as much seclusion and privacy as we can. And the other spots that are of note are, you'll see the recharge ponds, the lighter shaded areas. Those will have a different type of planting in the prairie areas simply because they're going to be underwater for portions of the time during the rain events. So those that have a more emergent or aquatic type of planting versus the rest of the areas. But the idea again is to get deep-rooted plants that create some type of groundwater recharge in the area. Next slides we have these are samples. I include copies in the book, number more copies in the book of a typical planting schedule we have at the front of every house. Folks can add to these with our landscapers, but every home has a minimum of one of these two styles. There's probably 5 or 6 different versions, but these are 2 examples. So every home gets a front yard landscape package, and then it can be added on to by the homeowners, either themselves or through our landscaper through the HOA as well. Sorry about that. When it comes to the product, you have a couple samples. You have all the samples in your book. I'm not going to go through the brain damage of going through every floor plan and every elevation. But all these homes are designed with an emphasis on a rear yard as much as the front views. Many of these homes are going to be backing up or oriented, as you saw on the plan, to get views of the lake. That's really where the value of these homes will be. So we've set these homes up to have dining rooms, things like that in the back, patios, covered porches. You'll see this is a typical traditional floor plan with the bedrooms upstairs. We have standard features we offer folks: built-in gourmet kitchens, fireplaces. As you see in the very top left, there's an optional rear porch plan, a second floor porch plan. So off of a bedroom or whatever's on the second floor, folks can actually go from the bedroom, sit on the second floor like a balcony overlooking the lake. So the backs of the homes are intended to have as much visual impact. The backs of our homes in many cases are the fronts of the homes. The other thing we provided just for reference is another floor plan, which is a single floor, first floor master. This is a home plan where the first floor is the master bedroom's actually on the first floor. It's far more popular floor plan lately. But again, this is another floor plan that's very popular, and again with some standard options that folks can customize their house with. what I did here, you have a whole, probably 30 of them in your book, but this, we have 5 floor plans with 4 different themes for the single-family home. So what I did is I picked one floor plan here, and for the purposes of this explanation, this is the same floor plan behind the front door, but it shows how that with the same floor plan, we can create, beyond just the colors you could change in the brick and the stone, separate elevations so that while they may be the same floor plan, they can really look like different homes. And this is our, in the single-family, a cottage version, and what you'll notice as I go through these in your packet, and as we did in other projects, we really have tried to reduce the front yard, the front garage door dominance. You know, we don't have a lot of snouts or full snouts of a garage sticking out. We've tried to bring the porches forward. And the porches that we have, you see some of the other elevations, are usable porches. Somebody can actually put a chair and a table out there and actually use it. They're 7 foot deep minimum. And one of the things I should probably touch base on the floor plans, I don't know if you noticed on there, we highlighted it. Well, we have also offered, because this project is so proximate to the golf course, a lot of folks will be using that golf course opportunity. In our garage, you'll see a little ditch. We've actually built space for the garage doors, for a golf cart into the garages. So somebody could have their golf cart on site. There's actually room to store the golf cart in every one of our floor plans. Another thing we've done in the floor plan was add a owner's closet. We expect many of these homes will be put in the rental program with Lake Lawns Management Company. So what we've done is create an owner's closet in every home so that the owner has a secure place they can store some of their things they don't want a potential tenant getting into. So we try to build the flexibility in the design of these homes to accommodate that resort type of weekend living. Again, this is the cottage elevation with the same floor plan. This is a Craftsman, and you'll see on the Craftsman, well, we'll follow through the garage doors are different. Front doors are different per elevation. This has tapered columns. Some of the other elevations will have straight columns, and the window grid. So we've tried to, as we have in other areas, maintain themes of those architectural design features that, regardless of what floor plan you get, if you get a Craftsman, you're gonna get those features. If you get a cottage, you're gonna have those types of features, and with corbels and the types of things that go with that theme. So this is the Craftsman with, again, with tapered columns, a usable porch. That porch is large enough where you can put, you could actually sit out there. It's not just what we always call the pretend porches, where they look like a porch when you drive by, but they're really not much use to them. The Farmhouse Elevation, again, trying to mimic the farmhouse style with a lot more peaks, a lot more, whole different porch configuration. Again, different window grids, different front doors, different garage doors. Then finally, the southern version. This one, as you see, there's a second floor porch that's available with the railings that just, again, being the same floor plan, you can see the differences in the architectural designs, so that you could have 4 homes of the same floor plan right next to each other, and none of them would look exactly the same. The other component we have is our villa. Oh, one more thing, I forgot I had these in here. This is the rear yard, again, with the large sliding doors, a lot of windows, a lot of open space to the lake, again, trying to emphasize the views to the rear of the project, again, property, and then, again, another option with the screen porch on the back where somebody wanted, to add the screen porch. Now we can do that as one of our standard options. They could buy their home with a big screen porch already included. Now our villa, this is, each half of the villa is the same. So we have the same floor plan. Again, this again has some storage area in the front where a golf cart could be placed. We have an owner's closet and optional 3rd bedroom. Again, it comes in 4 elevations. This one also has a Craftsman, which mimics the same design features as the other Craftsman elevations. We've added again, a farmhouse, and you can see right half and left half aren't the same. It's not just a mirror image of each other. We tried to make them a at least at the surface, look like a larger single-family home and not two of the exact same elevations bolted together. Running out of talent here. Well, we had a federal, I don't know if we can get back there, and this is the southern, I don't know if you can back up, yeah, the federal, just another elevation, again, with more of a federal style, columns and federal style, windows. It's just, it's been this has been one of our most popular Lake Geneva elevations is the federal, so we've included that in the villa area. And then the last one, I'm going backwards for some reason. Really hitting the same button, I really am. Then this one is a southern, again, mimics the version of the southerns. And in all these, you'll see horizontal sidings, vertical sidings, shake, a lot of different mixing of materials, just to keep these interesting. All these products in this area will have LP siding, LP trim. Some of these are not intended to be vinyl sided structures. So that's really on the, as far as the product goes, there are a few things I feel I need to touch base on. One is the rental program. I touched on that. We've worked with staff so that, excuse me, two things. We do not want just Airbnb, a lot of things like that happening that are uncontrolled. We're very concerned about, clubhouse and people accessing it. So we generally prohibited any rentals less than 6 months that an individual homeowner can make. If you own a home, you can rent it to somebody for a year. That's great. When we can accommodate that. Anything less than 6 months, that home, by its covenant and our rules in our neighborhood, has to be enrolled with the Lake Lawn Management, I think it's named Lake Lawn Management Company. And what they will do is they will manage anybody who wants to lease their house out for a weekend or a week, or somebody wants to lease it for a vacation. That way, all the mowing's done the same on these homes, all the outside maintenance is done exactly the same. They have people go in and make sure they're secure, make sure that there's no problems going on. They do the cleanup, they do everything. So this is really a turnkey operation for our homeowners that do decide they want to put their home in a rental program. But again, to keep the quality of this up, it has to run through Lake Lawn. We certainly, it's been a real focal point of Lake Lawn. They want to know what's going on out there. It's been a really focal point of the community. But Denise has clubbed me over the head on that one more than I care to talk about. And so we certainly want to make sure that that's understood, that we agree to that. This whole neighborhood will be subject to a homeowners association, which again will take care of a lot of the outside maintenance, take care of the open spaces, the pathways, take care of all the landscaping so that it looks like part of the resort. It's not 3 people cut the grass today, 4 people cut it the next day. It's all going to be maintained as it would if it was part of the resort. We have conditions, covenants, and restrictions that are recorded against each lot at the time of final plat, which will mandate certain things they can and can't do. No outside play sets, no outside swing sets, those types of things that are just inconsistent with the resort type community we're trying to build. Also, was provided by staff, we have an anti-monotony provision, which is built into our CCR, which says you can't essentially build the same house with the same colors for a couple houses on either side, 3 houses across the street. Well, the intention of that is, from our own perspective, create some diversity of product and color in the community so that we don't have 4 homes that look exactly the same lined up right in a row. You have to split them up, and you have to create some character to the community that you wouldn't have if there wasn't the anti-monotony provision. The other thing we provided staff is a letter of awareness. What we do as part of our sales process, in a recordable format, we created what's called a letter of awareness. Every homeowner signs it. Everybody denies they ever saw their CCRs. They deny they read them. It's too big of a document. I didn't have time. We boiled the important things down, like you live next to a resort, all the important things, and we provided that to staff, which we put together for this community. So every homeowner, when they buy a home, signs that document, and we keep that. It's recordable. We tell them in the CCR it can be recorded. That way, when somebody comes back 6 months later and says, nobody told me there's a resort next to me, nobody told me there's a boat ramp going to be on the east side, you can take up a one-page document and say, well, the guy who signed it understood it, so it's really something we've done in cooperation with the community to make sure we don't have issues of homeowners claiming to not understand what the situation was after they bought. As Brian said earlier, the proposal that's before you from a GDP to PIP perspective, I think the lots 2 and 4 are precisely the same as the GDP. I'm not sure there's any deviation at all. So it far exceeds, I think, the substantial compliant threshold. And the boat piers, February, we said we were going in for 96. We got 96. The configuration is, I think, more desirable to most folks is that they're all now consolidated within the lagoon. And so, again, that's what we're looking for this evening is your agreement that we're in substantial compliance with the approved GDP. And with that all behind me, I'd open up to any questions, or if you want to open up to residents.
Any questions at this point? From commissioners? Anyone online? We've got Kevin, we've got Will. I think those are the two commissioners. Yes, Kevin.
Okay, I have 3 questions, if you'd like me to do them now.
Certainly.
So the first has to do with the marina. In the document someplace, it says that under rental of boat slips, it says the owner shall retain ownership of all the piers. In that situation, is the owner Fairwind?
No, maybe I wasn't clear enough. The owner will be Lake Lawn Lodge. They will always own and maintain the piers, and we just wanted that to be very clear to everybody. It's very clear to our buyers that the Lake Lawn Lodge will always own the piers, and we will put together a program to rent slips from them, as outlined in the permit that we have is very specific on how to do that, so we have to be compliant with that. That they will continue to and always own the piers and the slips.
Okay, so does new homeowner have a preference for slip rental?
Yeah, they have, we're gonna put together a rental agreement. We have very specific restrictions on how those permits are put together, so, our goal is that our homeowners will have the right to rent a slip, but no guarantee they're gonna have a slip, because again, we can't do that. I'm not an expert in the legalities of the lease. I just know, our goal is to have our homeowners have the ability to, as a general public would, lease a slip. And there's far more than 100 to 1 slips there, so there's still gonna be many, many slips available to the public. Is that fair? Dave can maybe clear that up a little better than I.
Basically, we're looking to have a cutoff date every year, that it would be a first right of refusal for those homeowners. Once you pass that date, then it's going to be opened up to the regular public like we operate today.
Thank you.
But again, that right of first refusal is only for the 101. The hundreds of others, 100 other slips that are out there are always going to be open to the public.
Kevin, could I expand on that?
Sure, well.
Will, it's difficult to hear you. We're not able to hear you on our end, Will. No, unless...
The next person is going to blow us out of the room.
Try that again, Will.
Okay, how's that?
That's better. Yeah.
A little better?
Yep.
All right, so let me give it a try. It sounds to me like the answer to Kevin's question is that the property owners, rentalers of the property at Lake Lawn will have preference for the boat slips at the marina.
For a portion of them, not all of them, not all of them.
Did you hear that, Will? For a portion of them, not all of them.
Could you be more specific with that, what portion?
Well, there's 101 homes and far more than 101 slips. I think there's over 100 slips before the 96 were added. So we've got probably another 100 or so, 100 or more slips than we have homes. So the reservation, or right of refusal, whatever you want to call it, I don't know the exact technical term, would be each homeowner has the ability to come in and request the rental of one slip. So even if 101 folks in the community, which I'm sure it's not going to be 101, all wanted to reserve a slip, there's still more than 100 slips that are available to the general public.
Yeah, I think you qualified the answer there by saying one slip.
Yep.
That makes it work.
Okay, sorry, wasn't clear on that. Sorry about that.
Okay, Ryan?
Yes.
I'm gonna ask another question,
Sure.
if that's okay?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, the second question has to do with the provision, for approval J2. So recommended action by the planning commission, it says prior to any site disturbance, the development agreement between the applicant and the city must be reviewed and approved by the council. And there was a reference in the presentation to the development agreement. Is there a draft development agreement at this point, and who are the parties of the development agreement?
We expect a draft probably within the next week or so. And at this point, we would expect that the parties will be Lake Lawn Resort and the Fairwinds and the city of Delavan.
Denise, before you leave, so this will be a de novo agreement. It won't be a amendment to an existing Lake Lawn agreement. Is that correct?
I'm expecting to be a new agreement. And at this point, I'm not aware of whether or not there will be any implications on or any requirement that would require us to amend the current agreement, but I would not expect so.
Great, thank you. And then I have a final detailed question, Ryan.
Sure.
On the petition for zoning amendment, and we talked about this, I think, the last time we were here. The applicant is Fairwind, owners Delavan Lake Lawn, and then at the bottom of it, it says applicant will be property owner of the land. And so I assume that means the two lots that are involved in the residential development, that the applicant will be the property owner of that land. Is that correct?
Correct. It'd be lots 2 and 4. And then what I tried to do is say the land, and I tried to tie that to the legal description of those 2 lots. That's what I was trying to do. May got off the reservation, but that was the intent.
Okay, so at what point will Fairwind become the owner of lots 2 and 4?
Generally, the way we work these things is we don't want to own a lot of land we can't do anything with. So we generally work with a landowner like Lake Lawn, who will be our partner in this thing. We will get all the approvals in place, and once we know we can do what we need to do, we have a closing close on the property, then the final plat's recorded, and we go from there. But generally, we wouldn't want to close on I hope you understand, we wouldn't want to close on a piece of property if we were not to get the entitlements and have 35.88 acres that we can camp on over at Lake Lawn Lodge. We're not campers, we're builders, so we need to make sure those entitlements are in place for us to be able to.
I understand that. So you laid out a timeline for when you're going to start building and when you're going to start selling and when you expected to transfer the first house. Project milestones. So if you had PIP approval on January 2021, I know there's other approvals, you expected land development and model and spec home construction to start September 2021. On that timeline, what would your anticipated close date be?
I'd say that'd be, with attorneys and everybody involved, probably July, August, we would close, then move on to, developing, securing we need to be able to, have the development loans in our name, that type of thing at that point, so we need to own the property in order to put those loans together, those types of things.
Great. Now, that brings me back to the development agreement. Why is Lake Lawn a party to this development agreement?
Because as certain things the community want in there, like access, to the lake, the community has been very adamant that as part of this project, we provide an opportunity for folks that are going to, folks in the community to have the ability to access the lake and have those types of things. So there's things that, in this commitment, in order to make this happen, we can commit to certain things on our property. Other things Lake Lawn has to commit to make this work. So there's different obligations on behalf of each of us.
And as long as they own the piers and the slip and management of that, they would be involved.
Correct.
Right? Because I assume the development agreement is going to require to have some elements concerning the operation of that area, right?
And as well as the rental program, we can't commit them to be a partner in the rental program if they're not part of the agreement.
Right, I got it. So I was using that as an example of another reason why they have to be partners, right? Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Any other questions from commissioners?
Yeah,
Steve?
just a question,
Ryan,
who is,
I do have some other questions, Ryan, but it seems like they might be more appropriate after you close the public hearing.
Okay, and we got Steve that's got a question
Okay.
here.
who would own the marina?
The marina building would be owned by Lake Lawn. The way it's structured now would be owned by Lake Lawn, and our homeowners will pay a monthly fee as part of their HOA fee to provide them access to the clubhouse. And that's one of the things we're really working through, because if Lake Lawn was to sell next month and a different group of people bought it, we want to make sure our homeowners have the right to get to the clubhouse. There's a little arm wrestling going on, still trying to structure that, to make sure that if we tell people they have the access to the clubhouse, that they have that access to the clubhouse. But we also understand Lake Lawn has some things they'd like to do with the clubhouse, and we need to get that structure clean, to be honest with you. So
And is there only one access to the lake with this proposal?
access as
To the
far as-
lake from Lake Lawn? Is there just the one access,
The one ramp, you mean?
just the one ramp?
One ramp is what
Yeah,
I believe.
where it's been moved around to the other end of the property. And then, the marina looks like it's directly off of, I guess where the two roads come together now, so it's gonna be moving to the east from where it is now.
Right.
Okay, and then the other question is, Lot 2 has the homes, whereas
Lot 2 has the villas, Lot 4 has the single-family homes.
Okay. So the single-family homes that you were showing us pictures of would be in Lot 4?
Lot 4, correct.
Okay.
Also was shown the duplex was also shown.
Okay.
Any other questions? I had a question on the actual rental. It says in the memo there shall be a number of homes. I suspect more of that will be specified in the developer's agreement, but just any preliminary
Well, I think
number?
shall and will are sometimes interchangeable on my part, but we had talked one time about limiting an area to not having any rentals. Because there's, marketing-wise, there's just gonna be some folks that say, I don't wanna spend that type of money and have a rental property next to me. So we talked about maybe trying to break that into pieces. The difficulty with that is, no matter which piece I put in, whoever doesn't wanna be next to a rental is gonna absolutely have their heart set on the lot that's in the rental area. But as shall, I mean, there's going to be some.
Sure.
There will absolutely be some people that say, I really like this, but we're gonna come up, 3 weekends of the month, the other weekend, and we'd like to rent it out, or during the week, we'd like to rent it out, because Lake Lawn has guests that, especially with the conference center coming forward, that'll want that type of a upper end rental if they're there 3 or 4 days. They may not want, a normal room. So this is just to expand, a little bit to expand their offerings as far as available rooms. So they can actually come and get a house, bring their family to a conference center. Their family can stay in the house and they go to the conference, and their family has a nice built-in vacation. But when I say shall, I mean there will be. I don't know that I.
Yeah, I figured there would be. I just didn't know if you had a set for like
We had talked about that, but I just
number.
a way to figure it out without screwing myself up here.
Sure. And then one other quick question I had. Can you kind of explain maybe the process potentially for the actual construction? I assume there'll be opportunities for local contractors in Delavan and throughout Walworth County in the trades that will have opportunities
Yeah, we have
to work
one of
on.
our bigger contractors right now is Farmhouse Electric out of Lake Geneva. They do a lot of our electrical work. We have an underground water and sewer company. Reisman does all of our major subdivision work. We have another contractor out of Burlington that does our water services. We're always looking to expand our base. We've talked to a couple local guys that are plumbers. The difficulty we've had in the past, just quite honestly, is getting guys with enough horsepower to keep up with the pace at which we generally build things. Talked to a lot of folks in Symphony Bay when we built, and they were like, we were bigger before the crash. During the crash, we've kind of downsized. We're comfortable with who we are, and we're just not comfortable expanding, putting on more people, more equipment, more trucks, because what happens if the world falls apart again? So it's just been, the challenge in Symphony Bay has been horsepower. Just can we get big enough companies that we can't have a plumber who, if we're going to build a house every 2 weeks, I can't have a guy who's going to jump off and do a commercial job for a month and I'll be back. We're pulling our hair out. We need you here today. So if we can find some more of those subs that are sized right to do what we're doing, that'd be great. This is not going to have the pace that Symphony Bay had. We're not going to sell as many of these price point homes as we would in Symphony Bay. So some of those trades that may not have fit the Symphony Bay profile may work here. But we're always been open to using local subs. It's just been a function of do they want to be what we need them to be.
Sure. Great. Thank you. Any other questions? Steve?
Just one last one. Do you actually have commitments at this point for these buildings?
We haven't been able to commit. We've got building plans we're working on getting pricing put together. When we get through this whole process, we have to get firm pricing on our land development costs. We do have a number of folks that have read about this in the newspaper, or they've seen your online stuff. We have probably a dozen or so folks that are on I'd like to live there, tell me what the price is. We put them on a list, and as soon as we're there, we'll contact them. If you'd like to stop by at the checkbook, I'd be happy to talk to you.
Reason I asked is, working at Lake Lawn, I've had people that come to the pro shop wondering where they could get information about this development, and nobody seemed to know anything. So,
Well, we're trying to work through Dave and Kevin, and
okay.
we'll maybe try to get something a little more formalized for you folks, because we certainly never want to pass up a lead. If somebody's interested and wants to be here, we'd like to have them here.
Great.
But we'll work internally to kind of get better data over to you, better information over to you. Lots of things tonight.
All right. Any other questions for Rick? Anyone else that would like to speak on this matter at this time? Seeing and hearing none, I would then close the public hearing and move on to item number 4.2, which is review and possible recommendation to the Common Council regarding the petition for a proposed Step 4 precise implementation plan for a portion of the property located at 2400 East Geneva Street, located in the Manufacturing Light ML zoning district, to allow for residential development of single-family and duplex homes in the area around Lake Lawn Resort Marina and additional piers within the marina. Applicant Fairwind Ltd. Brian Pollard. What's the committee's pleasure?
I
Brian?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Will, you did say you had maybe another question. Why don't we,
That's fine, I do have several questions. This first one, maybe directed at staff. The existing, water main, um, that's that's shown on the south side of Highway 50, is it adequate as it is? Or will the city have to modify it in any way?
yes, I'm sorry, Mark.
Will the plans that are in the packet, they will be using the existing 12-inch main that's out there, 16-inch main that runs along Highway 50 out to F. There is a fair amount of the main that's closer to the marina itself that actually gets removed or abandoned, and they will be laying new 12-inch pipe, new 8-inch pipe from the 16-inch down and tying back into the far east end of the existing 12-inch.
Mark, all the pipe that is within the property itself will be the responsibility of the developer?
It is part of their project to install the water mains, yes.
But there'll be public mains.
There'll be public mains, but yes, but it will be the developer's responsibility for the construction.
Did any of that cost fall on the city?
It would not.
The second question, maybe for you as well, Mark, is regard to the traffic controls at the intersection of Highway 50 and F, and the proposed Lake Lawn Lodge road. What kind of, and I guess that's the question, what kind of controls will be there at that intersection?
The developers are working with the Department of Transportation. It would be a fully signalized intersection. They would be having to add eastbound right turn and right turn in and right turn out lanes, along with left turn lanes for, or separation for left turn lanes for westbound traffic to turn into that new intersection, which would be signalized.
So the intersection will be signaled?
That is the DOT's direction, correct.
Outstanding. A question, has anybody checked with our public safety people to ensure that the private roads within the development are adequate for emergency vehicles?
The fire department has been at our staff meetings reviewing the plans, and they have reviewed the traffic turning templates that are within your packet.
Good. Last question, I don't know who it's for. The properties within the development that are going to be rental properties, are they included in the room tax ordinance?
Yes, any property that is rented out for a period of less than 30 days is required to pay room tax.
I'm sorry, Denise, I
Yeah,
didn't catch that.
I'm sorry. All properties that are vacation rentals, which is defined as 30 or less days, are required to pay room tax. Yeah, so they will be paying room tax, unless it's for like if someone rents the house out for a year, that's not subject to it. But any short-term rentals that are of those homes would be subject to the room tax, and that would be Lake Law's responsibility to kind of coordinate the payment of those.
Is there specific language to how long the rental is before it falls outside the room tax?
If it exceeds 30 days, then it would not be subject to room tax.
one final note, internal to the property, there appeared to be 4 cul-de-sacs. Kind of contrary to the latest comprehensive plan. I just point that out as interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. With that, I will go ahead and entertain a motion. Oh,
Brian?
yes.
I have one last question.
Sure.
That I missed in my notes.
Okay.
If there are, close to 200 slips, and you're not expecting, all of the owners to, have slips, plus you have a boat launch with boat launch parking, that means that a lot of these slips are gonna be held by not residents and, people who've rented them before. Where are they gonna park their cars?
I can give it a shot, Dave's here as well, but there's on the PIP that was approved for, the property just to the east of us, Lot 1, there is a boat rental, or excuse me, there's a parking lot there, as well as any guests that would be using it from Lake Lawn, I'd imagine would be parking in the Lake Lawn's traditional parking area. They have a shuttle, they have a shuttle apparently that runs folks back and forth.
Lot by the boat launch, isn't that primarily targeted for folks who are launching with trailers by the looks of those, the scale of those parking places?
Could be, I thought that's what you were asking, sorry. The folks that would be bringing their boats in to use the boat launch would be parking there. Our residents obviously are gonna walk there. People who are accessing the boat slips that are members of, or guests and residents, guests I guess you would, of Lake Lawn would utilize their parking area, and they, as according to Dave, they have a shuttle that will run them back and forth.
Thank you. But there, just to clarify, there's no thought of a further lot expansion on Lot 1? Other than what's
But
seen here?
clarification, won't there be some additional parking in conjunction with the marina? And those parking spaces, so if you're a member, if you rent a slip and you are a member of the marina, you will have parking available at the marina building and that will be presented in that PIP. Does that help, Kevin?
Yeah, I thought that marina might have some space, but it's not the way it's shown. It doesn't look like there's a lot of space there, that's all.
Hey, Ryan.
And I'm sure for the overall feel of this area, the whole Lot 3, pay isn't exactly what the homeowners in single family 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and duplex 62, 63, 64, and 65 are paying to look at.
Steve, did you have a question?
Just a question, on the roads that are in both lots, 4 and 2, is there parking on those roads? Are they no parking?
No, we are not allowing parking on the sides of the road.
Okay.
That's not to say somebody's kids won't come over and park there, but as a general purpose, we're not allowing
Okay.
folks to park there and walk through the subdivision.
Can you tell me the width offhand?
24, I think, isn't it? I think it was 24.
Okay.
Okay.
And I want to revisit Will's question about the water pipes and, once they're installed, who's responsible for the maintenance if one bursts or?
They would be a public water system, so it would be the
Okay.
city's water utility,
But we're not responsible for installing them, so, but just for maintaining them.
similar to a typical subdivision, correct?
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing and hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion as written.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thanks, everyone, on that. Item number 5 is 5.1, under business, is consider a proposed 6-lot certified survey map, CSM, and division request of the currently unplatted Lake Lawn Resort property at 2400 East Geneva Street. Mark, you want to?
I believe Rick went through it quite well, but this would be the step to physically divide the property out. There is the outlots for future dedication of the required right-of-way along Highway 50, and this would again split the property into those. Five, okay.
All right, any questions for Mark? Seeing and hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion as written.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 5.2 is consider a proposed 101 plot preliminary plat for the Harbor Club at Lake Lawn Land Division request within Lot 2 and Lot 4 of the proposed certified survey map at 2400 East Geneva Street. Mark?
Again, as Rick has gone through, this would take the 2 lots that are just being created with the certified survey map and divide those into these multiple individual parcels for residential use.
Any questions for Mark on this? Seeing and hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion as written.
Okay, there's a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. Item 5.3 then is consider a change to the Planning Commission's regularly monthly meeting date. Denise, did you want to, I know there was, or Mark, between Mark and Denise, there was a little information in the memo on this. And
You guys are killing my one free Monday a month.
oh, no. And we don't have to change it.
It was just a discussion to, there's a couple of conflicts normally on the first Monday, including conflict with our city planner, who was actually on only half an hour because he has a conflict. We had looked at the second, and I know that we have one member that couldn't do the second, and so we're recommending consideration of the 4th Monday of the month. That would help give us a little bit more time from when the Plan Commission has the hearing and then makes a recommendation to prepare it for the council for the next, next meeting. So, we're recommending consideration be given to changing to the 4th Monday, starting in March is what we're looking at. And want to make sure.
Yes, Kevin?
So, I looked at the meeting calendar, and the 4th Monday already has a conflict with Park and Recreation. Is the Park and Recreation Commission gonna move?
We have talked to the director, and he is going to talk to the Parks and Recreation Commission. However, we also have the meeting room downstairs, so that those don't get televised. We do have the capacity to have 2 meetings now go at the same time from a remote standpoint, and so that room would be available to them if they choose, if there is a conflict and the third Monday will not work for them.
Why did we not choose the third Monday?
One is that normally, just from the next night is the council meeting, and I think we do want to, it does drag it out longer from a standpoint. So if we go the 4th, you have the hearing, and then it gives us enough time. I think there is a concern is if we would do it on the third Monday, a lot of pressure of trying to get it to the council, and it's not realistic to really, to be, that we would be able to do something at the Monday and then generate it enough to act on it in the Tuesday.
I appreciate that we're concerned about the planner's availability, but it would seem to me that what we haven't considered is pressure on staff. So who's responsible for the public works packet, which happens on the 4th Tuesday, and who's responsible for the Parks and Rec packet, and who's responsible for the planning packet? Aren't we shoving a lot of staff work into one clump of time?
Parks and Rec is done by the Parks and Rec director, so that is totally separate. We do have, Public Works also does the for Public Works Committee. However, right now, it is also near finance and from, in GOC, so some of those packets just have as much pressure on those same departments as you would find for the Public Works packet. So from the staff perspective, we talked about that. I don't think they have any issues. And in addition to the planner, there are some other community conflicts with that first Monday, which would be addressed by going to the 4th.
So of all of the conflict and issue problems, the one that seems to me the least problematic is the third Monday, in that all it requires is discipline. And that would be that we can have the plan commission on third Monday, but everyone needs to know that nothing moves from the plan commission that has to go to the council for another 1-month cycle.
And that was, as I understand it, that was one of the reasons why we put it as the first Monday of the month.
Right. So I mean, Will, you and I have both been on this commission when it's been the third Monday, and we've been on it when it's the first Monday. I mean, I think the real question is, I don't support going to the 4th Monday. I think that while people might have said they can do it, I think we're probably putting a lot of pressure on people. I think the third Monday works.
I will tell you that from a staff standpoint, putting together the Plan Commission packet and putting together the council packet on that Friday is probably going to create a whole lot more pressures than the committee packets.
So then I'm going to suggest we stay on the first Monday and tell Vanderwall that they're not the tail wagging the dog.
And again,
I mean, I can interject here. Kevin, it was really, and you can blame it all on me, and to a lesser extent, Mr. Cass, but it was my idea, and I didn't mean to open up a big can of worms. That just because we had been meeting in the month of January and December on a different Monday than the first, that maybe it wouldn't be an issue, just because in those 2 months, myself and Mr. Cass had missed our Lions Club meetings. Now, it's not the end of the world, and this is certainly, the bigger priority and stuff like that. So I didn't mean to open up a can of worms.
I'm gonna be completely forthright then too, because I had some conversations with staff members, and they might be willing to say some stuff to me that they're not willing to say to a boss who's asking them, would this be okay? I think that 4th Monday really does put Monday would work better for them. So I would recommend we either move it to the third Monday or keep it at the first Monday, but the fourth Monday, I think, was really a problem.
So, again, I would recommend then we keep it on the first Monday, because I do think that trying to get a plan commission packet out at the same time as we're trying to get a council packet out is going to be, have a significant impact on the process, so.
Yeah.
I
And
think
that's-
at this point.
That's just fine. I mean, I actually had thought the third Monday maybe, but then I realized that maybe there was, some more potential. So I think we're just fine, and we'll just keep it on the first Monday, so. And then if something comes up later, we can address it then, or whatever.
Ryan,
Yeah,
the other question I have is whether this meeting can start at 5. The finance committee starts at 5. If it would help you guys, because some of the issues have been when this meeting runs long.
yeah. I don't know what everyone thinks about 5 o'clock. I could make 5 work. I make 5 o'clock work for the finance committee too, and that gives us an extra half an hour, so. Would that work for everybody else? I know Chris isn't with us tonight necessarily, and I don't know if he has a conflict getting here right at 5, but,
That would actually probably help with our planner too, because, I think his normal other meeting's at 6, so that would give an hour when there's a conflict.
Just a suggestion, Ryan, why don't you ask Denise to put that on the agenda for the next meeting,
yeah, that works.
earlier time?
Sure. That's fine, then maybe, that's fine with me if we wanna just, unless staff wants, I think Chris is the only one that we're,
Yeah, we can put it,
Listen.
and what we could do is, we could just send out something to the plan commission members and just say, we're looking at at retaining the meeting on the first Monday, but looking at a start time of 5 PM. Does anyone have any issues or concerns? Because I don't know, if any, and then just find out. If there's no conflict with that, then we can start at 5 o'clock, which would probably, from a staff perspective, would be great, because, that's less half an hour that they get home, get done earlier.
sounds good. Thanks for the discussion on this, and,
Can I ask one question? The February meeting disappeared from the calendar, so we're not having a February meeting, is that correct?
We have no applications at this point.
did you hear that, Kevin? Okay.
No, I did not hear that.
Oh,
Mark said that they did not include on the calendar because we have no applications or any items that are coming before the plan commission at the February meeting.
Great.
all right. With that, we'll move on to item number 6, which is update on the building and zoning related matters.
Do we need a motion or anything for that date change?
I don't, no, I think,
Okay, perfect.
yeah, but,
Good. Just had to make sure, 'cause it was on there.
yep, no worries. So, any questions for T? Or T, did you want to point out anything in your memo? Or add anything?
If you guys have any questions, I'm here, but otherwise, Jiffy Lube's now open, and still got some single-family homes on Smith Lane. U.S. Shelters keep buying lots from the city and selling everything that they put in the ground. Market's kind of moving over there. Do you have any specific question?
Any more applications for where those new houses are going out west of town in that subdivision? Where the 2 houses are being built now?
Are you talking about Teskey's property? I think that's, yeah. Right now, I just have the 2. There are some people that have kind of come in and talked to me a little bit, but more so over on Smith Lane and Franzen Lane. I think that area is probably going to fill up first. But yeah, there's 2 homes that are kind of going up on Tamarack Street right now. That's That's kind of it right now in that subdivision right there. Leno.
Any interest in Shopko?
Denise, did you want to talk? I don't know
They're
what's,
still looking at.
there is some interest.
Looking at dividing it into 2 spaces, but, we have not had a chance to talk to the owner's representative after the holidays.
Or the other 2 buildings that are out there, where, closer to the airport, Lakeland property that,
Oh, the Staples?
yeah,
There is some, I have had some interest, I've had some people contact me about that Staples building. And I believe they're gonna be making an offer. There is some
Oh, that's
interest
good.
over there.
Any other questions for T? If not, and there be no further business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second, whatever.
Motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.